let's get into the game last night. Tottenham 2, Borussia Dortmund 0. Nobody could have predicted what happened on that pitch last night. You know, the narrative before the game was, you know, how is Frank still in a job? Frank's got to go. It felt like there was an acceptance within the Spurs fan base, like, this is it for Frank. Like, Frank's a dead man walking and whatever. And he still might be. That's the reality. But nobody gave Spurs a hope in hell. Nobody gave Spurs a chance yesterday. Everyone says Dortmund are absolutely going to wipe the floor with Tottenham, with what Spurs have been showing over the past, well, all season. But Frank had a plan, implemented that plan. The players seemed to be behind it, and the players gave everything that they had in their locker yesterday. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. There was also a narrative going into the game saying it's actually unfair from the ownership to put Frank in that situation in the Dortmund game, to go into that Dortmund game, putting him in the Lions' den to be held abuse at for 90 minutes. It's going to be the most toxic atmosphere that we've seen at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium for, well, ever. So talk us through the atmosphere last night.
That wasn't the case. I think it's fair to say. I think even from before the game, I wonder if it's just because everyone had already like resigned to the fact that we're probably going to lose, and so like before the game, everyone was like, sometimes when the pressure's off, you've got no expectations. You just like want to just get behind the team, you know. You just want to give all the support you can. And in the concourse before the game, there was a buzz around the place. It was weird. I felt like maybe yesterday people felt like this was going to be a bit of like a moment in time. You know how like certain games are like, you know, like Nuno's game against United, or Southampton, Conte's Southampton moment. Like, I think people felt like this was going to be like a moment. So people like gearing up for something, but they weren't really sure what they were gearing up for. It felt, you know what I mean? And the concourse was definitely buzzing. There was definitely, you know, a lot of, it was loud. There was a lot of chanting before the game. There was a buzz in the stadium. They were, I would say, murmuring.
In the buzz because they thought it was Frank's last game.
Maybe that was it. Maybe that was what they were gearing up for. But obviously, they read the team out and they said led by Thomas Frank. I wouldn't say loud boos. There was maybe some like smattering or murmurs, but nothing really to like report on. I didn't boo. No, I didn't boo. But there were definitely murmurings. Like, it wasn't anything too noticeable, put it that way. And then on the game side, it was just, I think the crowd were just fully behind the team. And obviously, they're reacting to what they saw on the pitch. We started on the front foot. We started aggressively. We got stuck into them. I think as well, a bit similar to what we spoke about, kind of, when, you know, when Spurs were playing at White Hart Lane and in the 90s and 2000s, where the atmosphere was generally good a lot of the games, but because there was no expectation, and then once that expectation grew, all of a sudden when you're not winning after half an hour at home to West Brom, like there's all of a sudden anxiety and there's like pressure on the team to start playing well, and all of a sudden that affects the atmosphere. It felt like yesterday was like a bit of a throwback because there's just no expectation, because everyone expected nothing from the game. It was like, let's just give our all.
But a proper like European night under the lights at Tottenham, you know what I mean?
It was really good atmosphere, I have to say, from start to finish, non-stop chanting. Everyone was getting behind the team. Everyone was, the drummer was also making an effect. I think he was really helping with the atmosphere, keeping chants going and creating a rhythm. That was really great. And I think I think the players responded to that, and we responded to the players. They were jeering, they were getting the crowd up at certain points as well. And it was a great night. It was a really good night, and something that we didn't expect.
Yeah, the drummer tweeted out saying he'd probably drummed more yesterday than he has done all season. He said, yeah, it was a great atmosphere. And we'll get into all the Frank situation in a little bit, but let's focus on the game for now, because I think Spurs, straight from kickoff, you know, were aggressive on the front foot.
Before that, was it a back? What did the TV say? Was it a back three with wing backs, or was Spence a winger? Like, what would you say?
For me, it looked like it was 4-2-3-1. I know Frank said in his press conference it was 3-4-3.
Was that what he said?
He said in his press conference it was
I thought it was a back three. Yeah, it looked like a back three.
For me, it looked like Destiny was at left back, and it looked like Spence was very high up on the pitch at left wing.
Yeah, I think it was the reason why I was 3-4-3, because I think off the ball it was a back five, and then on the ball, Spence was given a lot of license.
That makes
to go
more
forward.
sense. Yeah.
So I think that's what it was. Like, Spence wasn't ahead of a doggy when we were off the ball. He was to the left and a doggy was tucked in. But when we were on the ball, a doggy would go move out.
But what you're saying is that Porro and Spence were the wing backs, right?
Yeah.
Is what you're saying. But Porro actually was doing quite a lot of defending, but Spence, I don't think, did much defending at all in the game.
I think he did. I think he was getting back
Only
in
high
position
up
a
the
lot.
pitch. Not
I think
really.
I think he was.
I think Udogie had that position locked down.
Yeah, I think he didn't need to because he had Udogie there. But I think I noticed it when we were off the ball. To be fair, there wasn't many periods of this, but when there were periods when Dortmund were having a bit of possession, whatever, Spence was definitely our wing back. He wasn't forward. So I do think that was the plan. I think Spence was given more license to get forward maybe than Porro on the other side. Udogie basically didn't cross the halfway line essentially for most of that game. He was basically just staying there, and I think that probably helped him quite a bit because first of all he's recovering from injury. I was listening to Frank's press conference and he was like saying every time I saw Udogie fly forward, I was like, Udogie, be careful, like, you know, be smart, you'll come back from injury. So clearly it was a plan for Udogie just to sit there and make sure that you're covering Spence, give Spence that license, and don't because Udogie, we know how he likes to play. Overlapping fullback, get to the byline. He's very good at that. But also, has that been causing too many injuries? The fact that he just loves to fly forward and he does so much running.
Also, it was his first game back as well.
And also that as well. So I think it probably helped him that he didn't have to do that running. It also meant he wasn't ever caught out of position because he's always just there. And we know that he's strong, he's fast. And the only problems with Udogie, I feel sometimes, is when he is caught out high up the pitch because he's flying forward. Whenever he is in position and he's up against a winger, I think he rarely gets beaten, in my opinion. I think the biggest problems are when he's been caught out. So I think it really helped him defensively and it locked down that side, I felt.
Yeah, I think Udogie gave us so much balance in the game. It was such a welcome return to him. I thought his and Jed Spence kind of link up together and their synergy down that left-hand side worked wonders for us. And you know, I was so happy with the performance that Destiny put in yesterday. And yeah, as with most of the team, I thought everyone put in such a shift yesterday. And we knew we were going down, we were going there with our bare bones. You know, we knew that Xavi was going in, playing through the pain barrier with a knock. We know Archie Gray went off injured in the last game at half-time, so he must have been carrying at least a little something. We know Dominic Solanke, you know, he's been out for the last 6 months. He had to put in such a big effort. So not only were we down to our bare bones with only 11 senior players fit, but a few of them were carrying injuries and just coming back from, like Destiny as well, just coming back from long-term injuries. So to put in the shift that we did, I thought was absolutely phenomenal. And in the first half, Dortmund didn't have a shot on goal. We limited them to absolutely nothing, and we get the first goal. Obviously, it comes from a corner, surprise, surprise, but it wasn't just a corner, you know, it was actually great work from Odobert. He got a bit lucky with the way he got it, but a nice little cross to Coutinho Romero, and he puts it away. But it wasn't just the goal and from a corner. You know, I thought we were putting them under consistent pressure, and I thought we were playing really well. I think it helped so well as well having players like Archie Gray and Lucas Bergvall, because we were able to just move the ball a lot more swiftly and a lot more smoother than we have done in recent weeks. And Xavi was just everywhere. Xavi kept dropping deep, winning the ball back. I mean, Xavi for me, I know Porro got given man the match, but Xavi was man the match for me. I thought he was the best I've seen him in a Spurs shirt by far. And I just thought we had different areas and different avenues of attack, and the pressing was brilliant, and just the work rate was just phenomenal, and it's just something that we haven't seen for a while.
Yeah, and I thought definitely in that first half we came out with a point to prove, as you say. I think we found something extra from ourselves, because obviously the way we came out like against West Ham was completely different. We were lethargic, we were kind of just not pressing as effectively, and I felt maybe, you know, adding Solanke to the lineup, we know what a good presser he is, so I think that really helped. I think the matching of Dortmund's formation really helped, and also I think the fact that Dortmund came out to play, they know that their biggest strengths are their goal scoring, their ability to create chances, but also defensively they do leave the back door open. They are one of the highest goals conceded in the Champions League, as well as one of the highest goal scorers. So they're definitely a team that can be got at, and we got at them, we pressed them, we hounded them, and I think what we did cleverly was we went to like a man-to-man press when Dortmund were on the ball, and we just forced them to go long, and we had 3 monsters at the back with Romero, Danso and Udogie, which basically just nullified anything that Dortmund had to offer. And then also out wide, especially when they were going down the right, where I think Adeyemi was off the right. Anytime he was trying to attack that side, he was running into either a Doggy or Spence basically every time, and there was just nowhere to go. That they had him on lockdown. And on the left-hand side, they just weren't too much of a threat. Was it Brandt playing that side? They just weren't too much of a threat. Which easily dealt with that. And I think coupled that with the fact that they're a side who does leave space and they're a side who does commit risk, left loads and loads of space for definitely Odobert and also Spence, or more of his dribbling was brilliant. But yeah, Odobert was in lots of space on the right. Xavi was picking up loads of different positions in the centre as well. He was kind of like a floating number 10, given license to drift to the left, drift to the right, just link with players. And I think he was loving it and really enjoying it on the day. And he was running the show, really, wasn't he, in that first half? So I think all those different things played into our favour. Albeit, as much as that, apart from the goal, I don't remember too many clear-cut opportunities we made, but it was more just putting them under pressure.
But yeah, maybe not clear-cut opportunities, but there were definitely a lot of potential openings that we could have caused if the final pass was a bit better. Like Jed Spence was getting in such good areas down the left-hand side, but I felt like a lot of the time his final ball maybe let him down a little bit.
Oh, he's not a winger, is he?
Yeah, I think he did fantastically well. No, don't get me wrong.
This is not me complaining about Spence, but I was listening to your post-match reaction saying, "Oh, what do we do with Spence now on against Burnley?" I'm like, no, you got to bring Tell back in because he's an attacking player. I think Spence showed his best and is also why he's not a winger, because whenever he gets in those positions, he just doesn't have that final ball, and it's probably it's always been frustrating. Even when he plays well left back, that's probably why he's a defender, because he doesn't really have that final ball.
Yeah.
And he did brilliant. He did brilliant for the fact that he's being a makeshift winger yesterday, or wing back, but I wouldn't do that unless we had to. Like if Tell's back, I think you bring Tell back in.
Decent option to have, though, isn't it?
I mean, it's a good backup. It's a good full backup option if need be. But yeah, I think against a Burnley team who's going to sit back, you need more quality.
Yeah.
But yeah, Spence, he exploited it well. I thought Odobert was electric yesterday. Must have been his best performance for Tottenham as well, or one of. He was brilliant. I thought every time he took the ball, just going off. I think it helped him as well. Being on the right yesterday, the fact it just simplified his game. I think off the left, it works because you can create more angles for yourself and you become more unpredictable. But I think yesterday, the fact that he knew what he was doing every time he got the ball, get the ball and drive down the line, exploit that space and go for it. And I think that really just helped him and just kind of didn't complicate anything, and he had kind of certainty in what he was doing, and it helped a couple of times. Exploit the space, cut it back, 2 goals.
Yeah, I do think 2 of the goals, the 2 goals that we did score, obviously came from a bit of fortune about both goals. Obviously, with Odobert kind of mishit it at a point and get it, and that got it past his man, and obviously with a good cross after that, and obviously the Solanke goal takes a touch off his right foot, left foot, then right foot again, and finds itself in the back of the net. So, but I know it's an old cliche in football that you make your own luck, but I think that was genuinely the case with Spurs yesterday, because we took risk in that sense, and I think we did create our own luck with the goals that we did score. So with Odobert, he was able to go past Schlotterbeck at times with ease, and Schlotterbeck is such a good defender. Dortmund's captain has been raved about over the years. I mean, I was just in awe watching like how easily it was for Odobert to just burn Schlotterbeck. I was like, what am I watching right now?
Yeah, he's a good dribbler, man. He can do it. I think he just needs that confidence. I remember watching clips of when he was at Burnley before we signed him. And I know it's only compilations, but a lot of the clips were him against some of the top teams and causing them big problems with his dribbling and able to get past really good players and create opportunities. And I was like, okay, that's brilliant if you can bring that to Tottenham, But obviously ever since Tottenham, he's been a mix of injuries and then coming back from injuries, and then he's had this psychological issue where apparently he doesn't like playing at home sometimes because he feels the pressure. He's obviously still a young player at a bigger club, decent money move, and all these different things. I think we've seen glimpses of quality. I remember there was a period last season when he came back from injury in the Europa League against RZ. He was brilliant and he had some good games.
But look at the moment in the Aston Villa game as well. For that, like when we were on top of those first 15 minutes of the second half, like he was central to that as well.
Look, there's clearly talent there. People write off players so quickly, especially young players like Odobert and Tell. They're so quick to just write them off and say they're rubbish. Just because we only signed for 20 million, come from Burnley, hasn't really played tons and tons of Premier League football and all that kind of stuff. And obviously he's been, if we're being honest, he's been a bit underwhelming since coming. I don't think that's a harsh thing to say, but he's not like he's set the world alight, but you've definitely seen glimpses of what he can do. And I think yesterday he was full of confidence, wasn't he? Absolutely. Every time he got the ball, taken on his man, good link-up play. I thought him and Xavi as well had a really good rapport yesterday in some of the things they were doing. In something like there was moments they seemed a bit telepathic with each other, and I think he loves that kind of link-up play as well, as much as he also likes to be a direct driving at the space kind of winger. I think he likes the intricate link-up and 1-2s and stuff like that. So I think this is a player growing. He seems to be getting better and better as the season's going on. So that's really good. I think he's growing in confidence, and I think obviously Kudus and Johnson are not on that side, and Odobert's getting a bit of a run, and I think he's growing.
Yeah, that first half was just such a joy to watch, because I think it was like one of the only times this season where we've dominated possession, we've looked dangerous, and our passing we could actually make a 5-yard pass, Yeah. Our passing looked crisp, we had them penned in at times. We were able to just pass it through them and pass and move, and really good dynamics within the team. And I don't think that's a surprise that we're seeing that with Archie Gray and Lucas Bergvall sitting in the midfield. And they've started 2 games together this season, and they've both been in Europe. It was against Dortmund and against PSG. And
also I think they started Burnley right at the beginning of the season.
Right, yeah, that's true. The Burnley game as well. And the PSG game and the Dortmund game is probably 2 of our best games on the ball that we've seen this season.
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't think we actually use them that much in possession. Like, I don't think my point being, I'm not saying we didn't use them. My point being, it wasn't them progressing the ball centrally in this game, which I think led to the performance. But they were definitely. They definitely provided energy, and they definitely provided more kind of proactive thinking. But I was looking at their pass map before; it was still very much sideways.
No, but
they got the ball out wide quickly, and we were progressing the ball out wide. That's mainly what we were doing.
It's not about them progressing the ball as such; it's them keeping the ball moving, and them, because we've had a real problem with being able to do that. Even just keep the ball moving. And I think they definitely did that exactly with accuracy. Like, how many times have we seen this season when we have one of Paulinho or Bentancur or whoever it may be in the middle of the park, and just our passing just seems so erratic and off it, and struggling to make those 5-yard passes. Like, we didn't see that yesterday.
Yeah, they were just getting the ball, popping off out wide quickly into feet, and it set us up on attacks, and there was lots of space to exploit. And I think they did well. Yeah,
and I think Archie Gray as well. You saw a bit of attitude coming into his game yesterday. He was squaring up to one of the, I think it was it Nemecha or one of the other Dortmund players. I felt like Archie Gray was growing in influence as the game was wearing on. Even when we came under pressure a little bit in the second half, I think he was putting some really strong challenges in, and I really appreciated Archie Gray's performance. Big shame for Bergvall to go off injured. Yeah. I think that's the 3rd game he's gone off injured in the last month or something, which is really not great. We have to wait and see how long that injury is. It's just something that we don't need right now with the growing list of injuries. But
they got a man sent off then as well.
Yeah, I thought it was a definite sending off. I thought, you can't go studs up that high and expect to stay on the pitch. You just can't.
Yeah, I had some sympathy with him. It was because in my mind it was quite similar to the Brennan one, where he wasn't making a challenge. In terms of like, he actually did touch the ball, and in the follow through to him getting a little toe on the ball, his boot obviously collides with the knee. Obviously, it's a bad challenge, don't get me wrong. And I think in the VAR era, it's always a red card. But I did have a bit of sympathy because he wasn't like going in for a knee-high challenge, and he was like a leg breaker. He got a toe on the ball, and his follow through to getting the toe of the ball led to his foot going high, and obviously caught Odobert. And look, it's unfortunate for him, but it's just one of those where in this day and age, that's always going to be a red.
Look, at the end of the day, if you're going to ask for consistency from VAR and the referees, then it's got to be a red card. It's a definite red card, and this is this day and age of football now, and that is always going to be a sending off. And as soon as I saw the replay, before the ref even went back to the screen, I think everyone knew it was going to be a sending off.
Yeah, I just felt for him a bit. I thought it was a bit harsh to send him off. And
look, A lot of people saying, "Oh, you're playing against a 10-man Dortmund, and Dortmund were really poor on the day." And we were very good before the 10-man. I think we were the team with the upper hand before the 10 men, and and then after that, it just, we got on top of them even more.
Yeah, I think we did. I think when they're down to 10 men, as long as it's 1-0, they're still in that game, aren't they? Because one bit of luck or whatever it is, and they can snatch a result. So it was very important to get that second goal. We did go for the kill after the red card. We got the second goal. A bit of luck, but good play from Odobert again. Great ball as well, by the way, from Odobert. Great timing into Solanke. Good run. There he was, obviously, to finish it with a bit of luck. Don't know how he finished it in the way he did, but he did, and got the goal. And we obviously settled for that goal, second goal, didn't we? Because they were down 10 men. In that second half, he was like, we're just going to rest on this, it felt.
Well, look, you say that, and we did sit back. I think, obviously, we sat back. But
which is understandable as well, because we only have 11 players. So
exactly. It's like, not only do we have only 11 players, but we got players that are half fit coming into the game. So, but we were still a threat in that second half. We still created chances. Like Mawani had that one-on-one chance. He had another one where he pulled out of. Porro had that one-on-one chance where he just gave everything in the game. I thought he just gassed out at that moment in time.
He did have a true chance to shoot. I've watched it back.
Yeah, he did.
I don't know why he didn't.
Yeah.
He just delayed and delayed.
Yeah. So we had chances in that second half.
Yeah.
I still think in the second half we had more chances than what Dortmund had.
Yeah. Well, Dortmund, obviously, they were down 10 men as well, so they don't have that extra player. But we definitely changed our approach in that second. We weren't pressing high. We were just kind of sitting back, soaking up the pressure, and then hitting him on the counter. And we did have a few chances. We did, but I think we were happy with the 2 goals. I don't think we were bothered about getting another goal. It was just like,
but I think
we'll create some chances, and if we don't,
the plan was in the second half that Dortmund have to come at us because they're 2-0 down, and we can create chance on the transition. And probably Frank thought that we could probably get a goal on the transition. So
I think in another scenario, we probably don't do that. We probably just go for the third and really kill the game off. But I think given the circumstances we're in, it's understandable that even though it's against 10 men, I think you just got to make sure that we're not overexerting our players out there because, we've got some serious problems already.
Exactly, and we got another game in a couple of days' time against Burnley, so we lost Bergvall. We can't afford to lose any more players. We just can't. I know we got players coming back from the ones that are not in the European squad as well. So that's going to ease our burden a little bit this weekend with more players available. But you've got to commend the players 1 to 11 for the work rate and the energy levels that they put in for the majority of the game. I mean, Porro, I thought, was absolutely fantastic in the game yesterday. I mean, the energy levels and the work rate that he put in alone, I thought defensively he was fantastic. He had his hand in both the goals that we scored as well. I mean, that was Porro's best display in a while, I think.
Yeah, and we know he's struggling for consistency. I think, you can put it down to a few things. Maybe because he's playing every single minute of every game, probably. I think that's probably got something to do with it. But he also does come out within his struggling form. He has bad games, but he's also capable of what he was yesterday. And when he's in that kind of form, he's just such a top player. I thought his passing was just on point yesterday. The switches of play were out. There was one switch of play to Spence. Where literally had to be inch perfect just to get it to him, and it somehow found its way to Spence, who obviously set us up on an attack. And he was, absolutely brilliant. Good corners as well, good set pieces. Very close to getting on the end of a Xavi cross as well in that first half. He had a top performance, and shame he didn't take a shot when he could have nailed the game.
Absolutely. Kevin Danso, I thought, was one of our best players on the day as well. I mean, just anything aerially, he was there. He won it every single time, it felt like. I don't know what the stats say about how many aerial duels he won, but he was just so... Him and Romero, both of them, were just so dominant at the back. Anything to come in the vicinity of both of them, they were just gobbling it up for fun. Romero in the last 5 minutes when we had that, when Porro, I think it was the Porro chance, Romero was just there at the back post.
Yeah, I know, he was what? Yeah.
We're 2-0 up here and Romero's just...
It's mad. When we look our most dangerous. Romero obviously got a goal again in this game as well. By the way, I felt like especially in the last few games, like the Bournemouth game, this game, and the game against West Ham, the guy is such a threat from set pieces. He's almost impossible to stop at some points. I think his aerial ability has really grown this season, especially from an offensive point of view. The guy is such a threat, and I do see what we're doing for set pieces. We're blocking off defenders, giving Romero that free space, and to win that header. We're aiming for him very specifically, and it's definitely working in that sense. We're creating a lot of chances from it.
Yeah. I mean, I mentioned to you the other day that, Romero, his aerial ability is not the best, but looking back at this, I feel like this season he's got so much better at it. Well, definitely in recent weeks as well.
Definitely. That's my point. I think against Bournemouth, he won 12 out of 13 aerial duels. In this game, he won 4 out of 6. So
but I don't think it's been the case in previous seasons. In previous seasons, I think it's left to be a bit desired for his aerial ability and how good he is in the air.
I think when he's challenging a striker, he's usually quite dominant. I think his problem is he has a lapses in concentration with his marking and then loses his man. I think aerially, when he's jostling with the striker, he's usually pretty good. He's usually actually comes out on top. He's actually quite aggressive. But people see him struggling from across because he's lost his man, not because he's been beaten in the air usually. There was one time, I think, if people remember, against Arsenal last season, where Gabriel bullied him, and that sticks out in the mind, I think.
Maybe. Always those moments that stick in the mind. But I felt like everything good that we were doing all originated from Xavi, man. Like,
ran the game.
Is that, 100%. Is that like a coming of age performance for Xavi Simons?
Obviously, we were saying the same against Brentford, weren't we?
But this is against like quality opposition here in Borussia Dortmund, and like they're a team on form. They're a team that will level us in the Champions League. It was a big game. Obviously, the other games that stand out for Xavi was Brentford, Copenhagen, and those 2 games really. Like the level of opposition here is much bigger.
I don't want to go too overboard, like saying coming of age or anything like that. Don't get me wrong, he was brilliant, and I was really impressed with the way he was just combining with everyone. The way he seemed to take responsibility yesterday. He was putting himself flying into challenges, which he has done in other games, but he was like defensively doing his work. And when he got the ball, he was taking better care of it. He wasn't just giving it away so cheaply like he has in other games. His switches of play were brilliant. His little interplays with Odobert were great. So there was so much to like about his performance. I do think Dortmund are the kind of opposition he probably would like to play against, in terms of a team who gives you that space. Obviously, he's used to that in the Bundesliga. Maybe it's not a surprise his best performance has come against a Bundesliga team. I don't know if it's too much to read into that. But I would say, in a weird way, I feel like Burnley away on Saturday is going to be a bigger test, because that's a physical team who are going to be sitting back. They're not going to give him the space that Dortmund are given.
They'll try to kick him off the park.
They'll try to kick him off the park, and he's going to have to pick the lock and come up with moments of magic against a team that are trying to stop him doing that. I felt like Dortmund were like, we're going to go tit for tat for you. We're going to give you space, but you're probably going to leave space, which we didn't. To be fair, we locked them down. But I'm saying they didn't. They came into the game thinking, this team's on the ropes, we're going to go for them, right? We're going to attack this lot. And I think they just probably underestimated what Xavi could do with all that space, and they paid the price. But I do think there are bigger tests to come. And to be fair, in the Champions League, he has been pretty good. Copenhagen, brilliant. Slavia, didn't he get man of the match against Slavia? This game, obviously, he's been very... I think maybe Europe has been suiting him a bit more because it's a bit less physical, potentially, than the Premier League, especially the sides he's been facing.
Copenhagen and Slavia, though, like you expect big performances in that game because it's the level of opposition ain't great. But Dortmund is a different kettle of fish. Like, we all looked at this Dortmund game being, this is the hardest game of our group phase.
What, at home?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, just in general.
What, harder than PSG?
Oh, sorry. A PSG aside.
Yeah, it was. And they're, I'm not saying they're a bad team. They are a good team. I'm not saying it's easy to do what Xavi did. I'm just saying there are probably reasons I can think of that why it worked yesterday for Xavi. And unless he takes that in, unless we see him performing like that regularly. Look, I love Xavi. I think he's a great player. I don't even think he's been horrendous for Tottenham in general. Obviously, he's struggled more in the Premier League than he has in the Champions League. But my only point is, I don't think I can look at yesterday and think now we're going to start seeing that every week. But, you know, I think he has to start doing it in the Premier League first before I can say that. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's a coming of age thing or not. We'll see on Saturday if he can take that game by the scruff of the neck as well. That's going to be more of an indication.
I hope he can play. I mean, he put a picture up on social media after with his ankle just like really swollen and a bruised foot and everything like that. So I hope he'll be able to play.
Yeah.
I think it's a question mark right now.
Yeah, obviously he played through the pain. I don't know how he played 90 minutes, but fair play to him. It was a top display, and I think there was one with real connection with the fans. He was geeing up the fans as well.
He was playing with such a smile on his face, man. Towards the end of that game, the camera kept like panning into him, and he was just always had a smile on his face. It was great to see.
And I think it helped him as well in this kind of inside number 10 position where he had Jedden like to his left hand side at wing back, and he also had players but like behind him. I feel like maybe in the number 10 position, how we've played it before, he's kind of felt a bit isolated, but I feel like he had players closer together this time with him, and that helped him combine. He needs that. I feel like he's been way too isolated.
Yeah, 100%, 100%
this season, and I feel like this game he was combining with his teammates a lot better.
I think Frank missed a bit of a trick yesterday to give Xavi a bit of a rest towards the end of the game and bring someone like Luca Williams-Barnett on. I was calling for that sub for the last 15 minutes. Obviously, it didn't happen. But what we did see is Janai Beifeld come on at right back with Porro moving into midfield. I think Janai looked like physically, he looked like a match for anyone. I mean, I don't know what it looked like from the stands, but on TV, he looked like he's just another senior player ready to step in. I thought it was fantastic to see.
I was so impressed with him. Played, half an hour?
Yeah.
Against, a good Dortmund team in the Champions League, making your debut. I know it's against 10 men, so he had the protection, I felt. He was never, outnumbered. He was never left, really, in one-on-one situations. He did have protection from everyone around him. But even given that, he was always up for the challenge. Any long ball came over, he was winning duels. He wasn't scared to be on the ball. Like sometimes when a young player in that situation, they'll get the ball and treat it like a hot potato because they don't want to make a mistake or they just want to get rid of it. But he was calm, he was composed. He just kept things simple. He didn't do anything too crazy on the ball. Always had a player near him to help him out in possession, and I think he stepped up brilliant. I was really impressed by him. I think him playing, he kind of came on at wing back, didn't he, rather than centre back, and I think that helped him as well to many. He always had Romero behind him to help him at centre back. He always had Odobert ahead of him as well with a bit of help, and he always had Porro next to him in the midfield, and who's very used to that position as well. So he kind of had just a small pockets of protection everywhere, so everyone was helping him out. But I thought he stood up to the task, and as the game grew, I think the team got more confident in him and didn't have to always be just around him to protect him. He was getting the ball a couple of occasions. He was driving with it. He did really well, and it was very impressive. Obviously, he played in pre-season against who was it?
Luton.
Yeah, and was very impressive in that game. And a lot of people were speculating, does he get more minutes and whatever? He's been on the bench a few times this season, but finally got his chance, and he delivered in a big game.
What a moment for him, man. To make his debut at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in that kind of atmosphere. Half an hour as well. It's not like it was just 5 minutes at the end. He got a big chunk of time. A 17-year-old. I mean, he is a unit, isn't he? An absolute unit. As a 17-year-old, I mean, you look at him compared to Mikey Moore. Obviously, it's different positions. So obviously, he's a defender, so he's going to be built a bit differently. But I mean, they look levels apart physically.
Who would, sorry?
Mikey Moore.
Yeah, for sure. It was very impressive. I also thought Porro in centre mid did pretty well, actually.
Yeah.
I thought he was a bit of a deep line playmaker.
I think his passing got a bit worse, actually, when he moved to central midfield. There was a couple more misplaced passes in there, but by and large, I thought he did well.
I thought his passing was all right. Maybe there's things I don't remember, but I thought it was quite accurate. It was progressive. I quite liked him. We know that's one of his biggest strengths is his ability on the ball, and I think it kind of suited him a bit. I think it was kind of like Trent playing there. Yeah,
he's not alien to playing in the central areas. I mean, obviously he did that a lot for Ange Postecoglou, being an inverted right back. Obviously a lot in the 10 position for Ange. But yeah, I didn't doubt that it was going to be a good move for Porro, because those are the skill sets that he's got. That's what he thrives in. So
I wonder if that's something we look for in the future if we are struggling again.
Yeah. Could he be that 6 high volume passer, Porro?
I don't think long term. I think I think obviously the biggest problem for him when you're playing in central midfield is just the time you get on the ball. I think he's a lot more comfortable playing out wide where he's got time and space to deliver, and that's where you see the quality. And then when you put him in centre mid, all of a sudden you've got players you've got literally a second shorter than probably you do at right back, and it's harder to keep your passing accurate and all that kind of stuff. And maybe that comes with time. Maybe because it's not going to just happen putting him in there and it's going to work. You might maybe need to train him up there, and it's going to take a few weeks. But maybe he could do it. But I don't think that's just his perfect role at the moment.
Yeah, you saw as well what Solanke brings to the team yesterday. You know, I wasn't expecting much from Solanke yesterday. Obviously, 6 months out, looked really poor against West Ham. But he looked fit yesterday, man, Solanke. He really did. And it makes a mockery out of all the complaining and moaning we've been doing about Matty's Tell being omitted from the squad and Solanke being brought back in. We were all saying, you know, we were sitting here ranting and raving about it the other day, saying, you know, Solanke looks, you know, barely fit. And he came in, I thought, he held the ball up so well, caused a nuisance of himself. I don't think it was like a sensational performance or anything like that, but he gave us a lot more than probably any other 9 has given us in recent weeks. And yeah, it was just so much more than I expected as well.
Yeah, I think he still looked rusty, if I'm being honest, but and I think his finish probably showed that, even though he scored it. But he definitely he definitely just gives you these intangibles that, you know, when he's on the pitch, he's a big unit. He's hard to shake off. He holds the ball up extremely well. He's difficult defenders to deal with. When it came to him actually being a goal threat, I know he scored, but apart from that, I don't remember too many things
No, he wasn't.
did do. And I think when it, you know, I think that's what, you know, similar to like against West Ham when he had any opportunity like running behind or anything, it still wasn't quite as sharp as.
But it was the hold-up play. That's what the, you know, because Moani doesn't offer us any hold-up play when he's on the pitch. Richarlison is like extremely hit and miss when it comes to that aspect. Half-fit Solanke's come in and straight away has shown us how to hold up the ball.
That's his biggest strength.
Yeah,
that's what he gives you. So I think he did a really good job, and it's good to have him back. It is really good to have him back because he's an important player for us. And I think people underestimate the impact he did have last season when he was on the pitch and how much we missed him in that run when he was out for 3 months. He was such a big miss. And I think even though he only got 9 goals, first of all, I actually think he ended the season in decent goal scoring form, if I remember, when he did come back from injury. And I do think he is a goal threat when he's fully fit. I do think he's not a great a scorer of great goals, put it that way, but he does get himself in the right position. But I just think, as a team, we always looked better when Solanke was there. That I think that's the truth, and I think it's going to help now he's back.
Yeah, I feel like maybe Richarlison might be a better goal scorer, but I think Solanke is a player that probably facilitates a lot more in the team.
Like, Solanke ain't scoring like that goal against Arsenal Richarlison scored, or he ain't scoring the goal that he did against...
Before Richarlison scored, you'd probably say Richarlison wouldn't score that goal as well.
Or like the Burnley one. He ain't scoring that. Like, that Richarlison's capable of a few more creative kind of finishes and maybe a few more finishes from tighter angles and stuff like that. Like, Solanke's very much like, get him in the 6-yard box, get him in that central area, and he could be a threat. But other than that, he's going to struggle to score and get shots off. But when it comes to like the overall gameplay, it's night and day between him and Richarlison.
Look, all in all, it leaves us in a very strong position in the Champions League group. Went above PSG yesterday, which is just crazy to think about.
Who's the real champions of Europe?
Exactly.
Who are the real champions.
Exactly.